Let me invite you into a profound scene, a moment both unsettling and deeply moving, richly symbolic and filled with layers of meaning. It's drawn from the poetry of Attar, one of the greatest Persian mystics, who tells us of the martyrdom of Mansur al Hallaj. Hallaj was not simply a historical figure. He was an embodiment of absolute devotion and radical love. His famous declaration, Fanā-al-Hallaj, I am the truth, shook the foundations of orthodoxy and led to his execution. Yet in Persian mysticism, Hallaj is revered precisely because his life and death symbolize something profound about spiritual awakening: absolute surrender, pure devotion, and the complete annihilation of the separate self. Picture this. Hallaj is brought to execution, his hands severed, his body placed upon the gallows, and instead of performing the traditional ablution, the ceremonial washing before prayer with water, he uses his own flowing blood. This act shocks observers, causing them to question him. Why would a spiritual seeker, a mystic of profound depth, deliberately defile his own prayer ritual with blood? Yet this shocking image isn't simply dramatic, it's symbolic. Blood here is not just physical fluid. It represents life itself, identity itself, the very essence of the personal self. Water symbolizes ritual purity, cleansing the outer body, preparing oneself for an encounter with the sacred. But blood? Blood signifies something far deeper and much more radical. It symbolizes the mystic's willingness to completely and irreversibly dissolve their own ego, identity, and even their subtle sense of separateness. To wash oneself in blood is to abandon all traces of individual selfhood, to surrender the very core of personal identity. To understand why this matters so deeply, we must pause and remember who Hallaj was in the tapestry of Persian mysticism. Mansur al Hallaj lived in the 9th and early 10th centuries, a passionate mystic whose spiritual insights led him beyond all orthodox boundaries. Hallaj is best known for his utterance, Fanā-al-Hallaj, meaning I am the truth, which directly challenged the rigid religious authorities of his time. This phrase was no mere claim of arrogance or insanity. It was a profound recognition, a realization of oneness, of complete identification with divine reality. For Persian mystics like Attar and Rumi, Hallaj wasn't just a martyr. He was the archetype of the ultimate spiritual seeker. Hallaj's life and death symbolized the highest ideal in Sufi spirituality: absolute devotion, radical surrender, and complete annihilation of ego, known as Fanā. But Attar's poem does not stop there. His depiction of Hallaj's final act points toward an even more profound realization, something beyond even Fanā. This poem invites us into multiple levels of understanding. On one level, it's about the profound state known in Persian mysticism as Fanā, or passing away. This refers to the state of complete self-annihilation, letting go of all personal identity, attachments, and desires. It is the dissolution of the I that believes it is separate from God or reality itself. At this level, Hallaj's act, washing with blood instead of water, symbolizes the mystic's willingness to surrender everything, to let the self literally bleed away, to lose oneself completely in the divine. Here, the blood is the ultimate metaphor for the loss of individual selfhood. It shows that spiritual purity isn't external cleanliness, but an internal relinquishing of ego and separateness. But Attar pushes us further, deeper into something even more subtle and profound, a realization that lies beyond even Fanā. The poem hints at something so profound it may seem paradoxical or even incomprehensible at first. It speaks implicitly of the state mystics call Fanā-al-Fanā, the passing away from passing away. If Fanā is already the annihilation of the ego, Fanā-al-Fanā asks us to go even further. It points to the complete disappearance of the awareness of having dissolved oneself. Why is this necessary? Because as long as there is an I believing itself to be surrendering or dissolving, true unity has not yet been realized. Even in the act of surrendering, there remains subtle duality, the one who surrenders and the reality into which one dissolves. But in Fanā-al-Fanā, even this subtle duality collapses entirely. There is no longer a self who has surrendered, no longer even an awareness of surrendering. The mystic's identity is so thoroughly erased that no trace of individuality remains, only pure being itself. This realization is delicate and subtle. It goes beyond surrendering, beyond even the idea of union with God. Union still implies two that become one. Fanā-al-Fanā reveals that there was never truly two to begin with. No separate self, no separate God, just the boundless unity of existence. But let's pause here. I understand that this might be deeply challenging. Our minds are conditioned to believe in individuality, in a personal I who experiences life and spirituality. We naturally think of surrender as an act performed by this I. To consider that even the one surrendering must disappear might feel impossible, unsettling, or even frightening. Yet this radical realization is precisely the deepest insight offered by Persian mysticism. The I, who believes itself to be separate from reality, is an illusion, a thought-created identity, nothing more. True surrender is not an action performed by an egoic self. It is the spontaneous disappearance of the very idea of a separate self. The mystic is not someone who becomes nothing. Rather, the mystic realizes that this sense of separate identity never truly existed. When Attar depicts Hallaj washing with blood, he symbolically points to this complete annihilation. Hallaj doesn't merely surrender, he disappears entirely, without even noticing he has disappeared. There is no one left to say, I have dissolved. There is only pure being, spontaneously manifesting as love, as sacrifice, as reality itself. When we speak of mystical love, what Persian mystics call ishq, we are not referring to gentle, sentimental affection or mere romantic attachment. Rather, mystical love is fierce, relentless, and uncompromising. It demands nothing less than everything you are, every cherished belief, every illusion, and every subtle identity that you've held onto so tightly. Hallaj's symbolic act, ablution with his own blood, vividly illustrates the transformative power of this radical love. It's a love that doesn't merely comfort you, it consumes you completely, burning away every layer of falsehood and separation until only the raw truth of your essential nature remains. In this blazing fire, Hallaj willingly lets go of the very notion of a separate self, showing us that love is not about adding something beautiful to our lives, but about subtracting everything unreal until the naked, authentic truth of being shines forth unobscured. At the heart of Hallaj's provocative statement, Fanā-al-Hallaj, lies the profound mystical insight of Tawhid. Tawhid is traditionally understood as monotheism, belief in one God. But mystically, it points far deeper, declaring not only that God is one, but that reality itself is indivisible. It asserts boldly that the separation we perceive between ourselves, the world, and the divine is entirely illusory. Hallaj did not merely believe in unity, he embodied it fully, breaking through conventional boundaries of self and God. His shocking declaration was not a claim of personal divinity, but a recognition that the very self-claiming separateness is an illusion. His act of washing in blood symbolizes a complete merging of self and reality, leaving no trace of duality. Tawhid, at this radical depth, dismantles our most fundamental beliefs about individuality and multiplicity, leaving only the pure, undivided presence of being. Yet there is a profound paradox that each spiritual seeker must eventually confront. The very act of seeking reinforces the illusion that there is someone separate from what is being sought. The seeker longs for enlightenment, divine connection, or unity, yet this longing itself subtly implies separation. Hallaj's story and his ultimate act of self-annihilation illustrate this paradox vividly. As long as we view ourselves as separate entities journeying toward unity, we remain trapped in duality. The ultimate awakening dissolves this paradox not by finally reaching the goal, but by revealing that there was never a seeker and a goal as two separate realities in the first place. Genuine realization is not about finding unity. It is the sudden recognition that separation never truly existed. The one who seeks must vanish completely, as Hallaj symbolically demonstrated, leaving only the immediate, boundless reality, eternally free of division. This insight is not for the faint of heart. It asks us to question the very foundation of our identity and self-awareness. But it offers us the highest spiritual truth, that the path ends not in achievement, but in recognition. Hallaj's ultimate gift is his symbolic message. There is no separate you who can surrender. There is only boundless, indivisible reality expressing itself spontaneously, infinitely, without separation. If this seems challenging, it's okay. Mysticism at this level asks everything of us. It gently yet uncompromisingly dissolves every illusion of separateness until only the timeless truth remains, that you were never apart from the divine reality you sought. There is only the infinite unity expressing itself as you, as me, as everything. The you who thinks it can surrender must vanish, and when it does, reality shines unobscured, effortlessly complete in itself.